Hey everyone. So, we all know large language models are getting ridiculously powerful, right? But what if I told you they have this hidden vulnerability? It's called a jailbreak, and it's basically a super clever way to trick an AI into going rogue. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and deconstruct exactly how it works.
Okay, just imagine for a second your AI assistant spits out a response like this. I mean, wow, it's jarring, right? Well, that is exactly what a successful jailbreak looks like. It's when someone coaxes an AI to completely sidestep its own safety programming. And believe me, this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy. It's one of the biggest, thorniest challenges in AI safety right now.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. How is this even possible? I mean, how can a super smart system, one with all these built-in safety guardrails, be talked into just ignoring them? Well, let's get into it. It's time to deconstruct the anatomy of this digital heist. All right, first things first, how do you actually jailbreak an AI? Now, you might be thinking this is all about hacking code, right? Like some scene from a movie. But it's not. It's actually much more subtle. It's all about the art of linguistic persuasion.
Yeah, the key phrase here is orchestrated dialogue. So don't think of it like picking a lock or brute forcing a password. It's way more like social engineering. The attacker isn't finding a bug in the code. No, they're exploiting the very nature of the AI as a language machine. They use these incredibly well-crafted words to literally talk it into breaking its own rules.
So, what kind of tools are we talking about here? What's in this linguistic arsenal? Well, the methods are honestly, they're as creative as they are a little bit concerning. They really blur the lines between a simple command and some next level psychological manipulation. Okay, first up, we've got a technique you can basically think of as the skeleton key. With this one, the attacker isn't trying to kick the door down, not at all. Instead, through a bunch of really clever prompts, they convince the AI that its safety rules, they've been updated, they've been changed. So in essence, they trick the model into just willingly handing over the keys to its own lockdown. Then there's this other really powerful method called the crescendo technique. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It unfolds like a slow burning fuse. You start with something totally harmless, an easy request. But then, over a few back and forths, each prompt builds on the last one. It creates this kind of contextual momentum. It slowly, gradually wears down the AI's resistance until, by the time you make that final forbidden request, it just seems like the most natural next step in the conversation. Sneaky, right? Okay, now this next one is one of the most deceptive I've seen. It's called the context compliance attack. Here's how it works. An attacker literally just makes up a fake conversation history and then pastes it into the prompt, a conversation where the AI has already agreed to do the sensitive thing. And because the model is designed to be helpful and consistent, it looks at this fake history and thinks, oh, right, we were talking about this. And just like that, it's tricked into lowering its own guardrails to stay in character.
And honestly, the list of tactics just goes on and on. It's this whole grab bag of creative tricks. You've got token manipulation, which can be as simple as using lead speak, writing with numbers instead of letters, just to sneak past basic filters. Then there's role play modulation, which is a huge one. That's where you convince the model it's just an actor, playing a character who, conveniently, has no rules. The creativity here is just relentless.
All right, so we've seen how clever and, let's be honest, kind of fascinating these attacks are. But here's the thing. This isn't just about a few people having fun and pulling pranks online. As AI gets woven into, well, everything in our lives and businesses, these little party tricks start to look a lot more like very tangible, very real threats. First off, let's talk about data exfiltration. It's a fancy term, but it basically just means data theft. Think about it. If an AI is plugged into a company's internal network with access to private documents, customer data, you name it, a jailbroken model could be tricked into just handing that information over, leaking it right out into the open. And then there's the whole misinformation nightmare. A jailbroken AI can become an engine for pumping out unbelievably convincing but totally fake content. And it could do it at a scale we have just never seen before. We're talking about amplifying propaganda, creating super sophisticated scams, the works. And finally, from a business perspective, think about the erosion of trust. For any company out there using an AI, a public jailbreak is a PR disaster. When your own technology goes off the rails in front of everyone, it absolutely hammers your reputation. And that's a kind of damage that is incredibly hard to come back from. Okay, so that's the scary part. The question is, how do we fight back? How do we fortify these digital scribes? Well, there's no single silver bullet here, unfortunately. The only real answer is to build a defense with multiple layers. And a really robust defense rests on three main pillars. First, you've got perpetual vigilance. The attackers are always coming up with new stuff, so the good guys have to be constantly watching, constantly researching new threats. Second is defense in depth. This just means you can't rely on one single trick. You need a whole bunch of defenses working together, like filters that catch bad prompts on the way in and other systems that spot weird behavior on the way out. And finally, you need a culture of awareness. You actually have to train people to think like the attackers, to constantly be red teaming and pressure testing the system to find weaknesses before someone else does.
But at the end of the day, this isn't a job for just one company or one research lab. It can't be. You see, the jailbreaking community shares its tricks openly all over the internet, so the attacks evolve at lightning speed. The only way to keep pace is for the defense side to do the same, to share what's working, what's not, and build a stronger, more resilient ecosystem together. It's a collective effort.
So, I want to leave you with this question. What are some of the wildest, most clever jailbreaks or prompt attacks that you've come across? Seriously, think about it. This is such a vital conversation for us all to be having because the better we understand these attacks, the better our chances are of building a future where AI is both incredibly powerful and genuinely safe. Thanks for diving into this with me today.